Every single modification to this vehicle, explained, justified, weighed in, real world tested, without all the BS. I'm Ronny Dahl from Four Wheeling Australia and welcome to Project LUXY. If you happen to have a stock vehicle, used vehicle, or you are completely new to four-wheel driving, this is a series you must watch. Avoid all the pitfalls. I'm going to help you do that. Stay tuned.
Hilux are unbreakable, aren't they?
I am very excited. We are about to start the modifications on the Hilux. I'm in it right now. And here we are, integrity tyres. Let the fun begin. As you can see guys, we've gone for the MAXXIS RAZRs. These are the all-terrains. So we've got a smaller rim. These are the P-Core rims made for a Hilux. They're plus 10 offset in rim. Now they're 17s opposed to the old 18s. This gives me an extra inch overall as sidewall to play with. So I can lower my tyres even more, and I got more protection to the rim as well when I'm hitting rocks and whatnot. Why the change? This tyre is designed for off-road. It's an all-terrain tyre. Happens to be a MAXXIS RAZR. That's just what I choose. There are many good tyres out there, but I've had good experiences with MAXXIS tyres. I've got them on the Land Cruiser, the mud terrain variant. This is the all-terrain variant. I think it's the AT811 or something. It's on the screen anyway. This, on the other hand, is fine if you are just doing careful, soft-roading, off-roading, four-wheel driving, stuff like that. Look, I have proved that I can take this over rocks and ruts and on sand. On sand, this is totally fine. Will probably perform as good as an all-terrain tyre. But when it comes to sidewall protection, that's where you need off-road tyres. Also, the sidewall in these tyres are a lot stronger than your highway terrain. When you let these down, they really balloon, and you really got to be careful. If you hit things hard and fast, that's when you damage the rim, because you will compress the sidewall so much. All four-wheel drive tyres have a light truck tyre construction. All-terrain and mud terrain are designed for off-road. Not only that, if you notice the sidewall on this Michelin here, this is a road tyre. It's not meant for off-road. You can see that the sidewall is kind of smooth and it's kind of thin compared to this. This has side biters. Not only will this help you climb in and out of ruts, it'll also help retain the shape of the tyre. It will also help prevent staking of the tyre. Many times out in the bush, I've had a stick go into the side biters, not into the actual sidewall of the tyre. So they actually will prevent this tyre from being staked. These are designed to be puncture resistant to a degree. This is not. A screw can go through this. The tread depth on an all-terrain is also much deeper compared to a highway terrain. Should I get more kilometres out of the all-terrain than a mud terrain?
I think you'll get very similar kilometres out of the all-terrain and the mud terrain. The tyres, although you'll have slightly less tread in an all-terrain than what you would in the mud terrain, your compound is typically harder. And provided you're looking after your mud terrain tyres, you should get very similar mileage as what you're getting in your all-terrain. But it comes down to the maintenance of the tyre.
Are you surprised that I've gone with MAXXIS RAZRs all-terrains on this vehicle?
Ronny, I think this is probably your fourth or fifth set of tyres with us. I'm sure this will go really well. I'm interested to see how this goes on the road as well as the off-road conditions. I think it'll be really quiet on the road and offer good sand good sand work.
One question that does need to be answered here. Why have I gone for a 31.5? Why not 32.5? And why not lift it and then put a bigger tyre on it? This is all about showing you what you can get away with without a lift kit. It will be lifted later. The tyres will be bigger later. This is to show you what you can get away with. But even with 31.5 inch tyres, they still scrub on the inner guard, on the Hilux in particular. We'll get to that a bit more in the pros and cons. So you now understand why we've changed to an all-terrain tyre rather than a highway terrain tyre. The other thing we need to keep in mind, this tyre is 1 inch smaller than this tyre here overall. What do we gain from that? Well, we gain a little bit of height, but don't be fooled. This being 1 inch taller doesn't mean we are sitting 1 inch higher off the ground. We're only sitting half of that because half of that inch is up here. It's the overall diameter that's increased by 1 inch, so we have half an inch, or in the metric system, we have 12.5 millimeters of extra clearance.
As for every single episode moving forward with Project LUXY, we are going to weigh every single component that we add to the vehicle. So far, the P-Core rims weigh 14.6 kilos each, which was a bit surprising, but they are rated to carry heavy loads, a stronger construction. The MAXXIS RAZR weighed 24.6 kilos. However, combining the two components, tyre and rim, we are getting 39.7, so maybe the bathroom scales aren't too accurate, we'll go with a higher number nonetheless. Our old setup, which was the highway terrain with the 18-inch rims, was 31.7. This makes it 8 kilos per corner. We have a spare tyre, so 5 times 8 is 40. 40 kilograms I've just added to the Hilux.
I'm expecting this question, so I'm going to answer it right here and address it right now. Why have I gone with aluminium rims, and why have I gone with the P-Core rims? Those who know me very well, know my channel very well, know that I am all for steel wheels, not for aluminium wheels or alloy wheels. In this case, however, I've made an exception. And here's the reason why I'm justifying this particular rim. Patriot campers design a lot of stuff for off-road. If you look at the vehicles they have designed, they're all made for off-road, crazy touring, kind of over the top almost, but really cool stuff, right? Their camper trailers are over the top in detail and strength and durability. So these rims that they have designed, or wheels as some people call them, they are designed for off-road. Torbs has these on his Land Cruiser.
The most impressive part was the load rating on them. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they're probably the highest load rating rim on the market for
alloy.
The cruisers.
I'll put a load rating on the screen, unless you can tell me now.
I'm only guessing, but I think it's around the 1700 kilos.
It's so impressive you can't remember it. Rated to carry a lot of weight compared to a lot of others. So in my mind, my thinking is these are designed for off-road use. They're not designed for street cars. There's one other thing. This is a bit dumb, I know, but this star right here reminds me of the Rockstar games. Used to be a bit of a gamer back in the day. Grand Theft Auto was one of my favourite games. This reminds me of Grand Theft Auto, and I bet to some of you guys it does too. So if you do change your tyres on your vehicle from highway terrain to all-terrain, be prepared to spend a day testing tyre pressures. You can always start high and then go lower and lower and lower. It's good to learn the limitations of your vehicle, and that's exactly what I did. And look, even 15, 20 years full driving, I'm still surprised at the difference when I got so low on tyre pressure, because this vehicle is so light, so light. I didn't think I'd be able to go that low and still not be touching the bottom, like not have a flat. So what do you think my tyre pressures are down to, Torbs?
Looking at it, I reckon the front's probably around 6 and the back's about 8. They look really low.
Well, the front is actually down to 7. No, 8, sorry. And the back is down to 7. 8 and 7.
Wow.
It was 11 and 9, but after a couple of attempts, it heated up. And that was actually on 13, and that was on 11.
Wow.
It heated up by 2 psi.
So I was pretty close.
Yeah. At this pressure, I'm not going to be driving too fast on the VHO.
It looks all right. Mine are 14.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying I'm not going to drive like 80 kilometers an hour.
No.
I'll destroy those tyres pretty quick. If I went that pressure on my Land Cruiser, my rims would be touching the bloody ground. When wanting new off-road tyres for your vehicle, especially beginners, but also many other regular four-wheel drivers are guilty of a few things. And here's a few words from Brad.
New entrants into the four-wheel drive market, the guys sometimes are looking for a tyre that's too aggressive for their application. So going for a mud-terrain tyre when a good all-terrain tyre or an aggressive all-terrain tyre would do the job. And then very often the guys are not doing rotations and they're not doing wheel alignments. So you'll take it in off-road conditions, not do the wheel alignments, and then in 5-10,000 Ks they would have destroyed their tyres. Four-wheel driver should be checking that his weights haven't come off when he goes four-wheel driving. When you reduce your pressures, you always run the risk that you flick a wheel weight off. So if you feel any vibrations, you should be coming in. But a minimum of every 10,000 Ks, you should be coming in to get it checked out.
It's time for some pros and cons when it comes to fitting bigger tyres and off-road tyres to your vehicle. The first pro is pretty obvious. They're stronger. The sidewall is stronger. The construction of it is stronger. You may need to let a little bit more air out of them, but you have more strength in those tyres. The second pro, they are designed for off-road use. They are made for off-road use. They have factored in that this tyre may be made 50-50 for on-road and off-road, and other tyres are 80% off-road, 20% on-road. So those are things you need to factor in. If you're going to go off-roading a lot, you need an off-road tyre. If you're off-roading 50-50, then you need an all-terrain tyre, because you are essentially on the road half the time, off-road half the time. And then for those who just occasionally go off-road, well, maybe get a slightly less aggressive all-terrain that will last you longer on the highway, but will still perform when you're going off-road. Off-road tyres, most brands, okay, not all brands here, are designed to be puncture resistant. Now this goes to a certain point. If you're driving straight over a sharp stake, you're probably going to get a puncture. Most commonly sidewall punctures, because that is where the weak point of all tyres are. It doesn't matter if they're off-road tyres or highway tyres, the weak point is the sidewall. But the off-road tyre is designed to be puncture resistant. Taller tyres mean more clearance, but there is a flip side, and we'll get to that very soon. Off-road tyres obviously give you more grip off-road. If you have a mud terrain tyre, even better in mud, but an all-terrain tyre will have pretty decent grip on most terrains. It's just when it comes to mud, they will fall a bit behind. All in all, confidence. You've just changed your highway tyres to off-road tyres. You now have way more confidence. And if it's a brand you've already used before and you believe in that brand, you trust that brand, well, that's even more confidence. So confidence is a big thing and is a massive pro to putting stronger tyres on your vehicle in off-road situations. You don't have to be so paranoid that you may stake a sidewall or pinch your sidewall. To the cons. Rolling resistance. We're going to have added rolling resistance because now you have a bigger tyre on it. It's going to cost you more fuel, which is the second con. More fuel usage. Not much, but a little bit more, depending on how big a tyre you go. Now, if you step up 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, you're going to be hit hard when it comes to fuel usage. Obviously, the cost as well. Off-road tyres cost a lot more than highway tyres, and the cost of fuel. So you've got to weigh all those things up. Also, maintenance and wear. If your tyres are quite bigger than standard, you're going to incur more wear on your driveline. Road noise.
So the all-terrain tyre will be slightly noisier than a highway tyre, mainly because you're reducing the amount of tread that you got on the road. So you're getting more gaps between your tyres, that you've got better grip in off-road conditions.
If you don't like road noise, be selective on your tyres and read the reviews. Road noise test, we're going to sit on about between 80 and 90. Let's just turn that aircon off. That's the truck next to me, that's not helping. You're not helping, truck. I'm trying to get a road noise test here. Highway tyres, road noise test was sitting on about between 80 and 100. This is what you can hear here. You can hear the wind, you can hear the tyres a little bit. The highway trains, they're pretty damn quiet, as they should be. Yeah, there's road noise, a little bit. So before I didn't notice any noise, now I'm just noticing a little bit of noise. You might be able to hear it, you might not, but it's definitely there. Rubbing on guards, that is probably one of the biggest cons, apart from, you know, the fuel usage, obviously. Rubbing on the guards. I'm having that issue with these tyres, and I need to sort that out. I've removed the mud flaps. I'm going to modify them a little bit, but I still need to modify the splash guard. So you put bigger tyres on your vehicle without a lift, you are probably going to have to modify your mud guards a little bit. Even with a lift on some vehicles, you may need to modify your mud flap, your mud guards, because on full lock turning or half lock turning, you may scrub, like I am right now. When getting new tyres fitted to your four-wheel drive, there are a couple of things that we need to be aware of.
Top tip for new tyres will probably be to look after them. So maintain your pressures, look at your rotations on the vehicle, and do your wheel alignments. Particularly if you've got new wheel nuts on your vehicle, you want to check it after 50 k's or so.
This is post the shakedown trip that's coming up on the tubes. We've had these tyres out, we've had the rims out, and we've played around with the tyre pressures. Look, the shakedown trip's coming up, so I won't get into it too much here, but what I can report is I'm happy with the choice I've made. I've been very surprised at the tyre pressures I need to use though, because the vehicle's so light. But I'm happy to report that's super capable on all the terrains that we tested out. Stay tuned for that video. I'd love to know what you think about my tyre and wheel combo. If you have any other questions, further questions, put them down below. And if you are local to Wangara or to Perth, go check out Integrity Tyres. They're really knowledgeable there, and they can probably help you out with whatever tyres you're looking for. So thank you very much for watching. In part 2 of these mods for this vehicle, we're going to look at what we got right here. Stay tuned for that.